What exactly are the ISO-SEC protocols? Section 1, the foundation, turning abstract rules into concrete security. Security is not a feeling, it is a measurable reality built from specific actions, verifiable controls. The ISO-SEC framework provides a detailed blueprint. It is a comprehensive set of protocols, technical protocols, operational protocols, designed to transform abstract security policies into concrete, repeatable steps that organizations can implement. The primary goal is to ensure that critical operations remain secure, resilient, fully auditable. This framework is not merely a list of suggestions. Instead, it serves as a common language and a shared standard, enabling disparate teams, often from different organizations or even countries, to collaborate securely toward a common objective. It bridges the dangerous gap between saying you are secure and proving it. Indeed, the power of ISO-SEC lies in its practicality. Security policies often fail because they remain high-level concepts, leaving implementation details to individuals, which leads to inconsistencies and vulnerabilities. ISO-SEC counters this by specifying how to achieve security. It dictates the exact procedures. It dictates the required technologies. It dictates the operational workflows. Those workflows protect physical locations, digital systems, sensitive information. It answers the difficult questions. How do we manage access? How do we verify identities? How do we secure our supply chain? By providing clear, actionable answers, the framework ensures security is applied uniformly across an entire operational ecosystem, minimizing weak links. Vital in complex multi-party environments where trust cannot be assumed, it must be built and verified. Think of a large-scale infrastructure project. Government agencies, private contractors, technology suppliers, each arrives with its own security culture and standards. ISO-SEC acts as the master protocol, compelling every participant to follow the same rules. This creates a baseline of trust and interoperability, preventing one partner's lax practices from compromising the whole. It replaces ambiguous trust with verifiable compliance. Ultimately, the framework manages risk in a complex world. It acknowledges threats are dynamic and security is multifaceted. You cannot protect your data without protecting the building that houses your servers. You cannot secure your network without vetting the people who administer it. ISO-SEC codifies this holistic view, demanding security be woven into an organization's processes, from the physical locks on doors to the cryptographic algorithms protecting data. It forces a disciplined, systematic approach, the only approach that works long-term against determined adversaries. Section 2, the 5 pillars. Building a comprehensive security architecture. The ISO-SEC framework organizes its detailed controls across 5 distinct interconnected domains, ensuring a defense-in-depth strategy. The first of these is physical and infrastructure security. This domain addresses the tangible world of buildings, equipment, controlled spaces. Security is physical before it is digital. The protocols here dictate specific requirements for securing facilities, such as the use of multi-layered access control systems at entry points, continuous video surveillance of sensitive areas, strict procedures for escorting visitors. An example protocol is the Asset Lifecycle Management Control, which requires that every critical piece of hardware, server, laptop is tagged, tracked throughout its use, securely sanitized, physically destroyed before disposal. The second domain, cybersecurity and information assurance, is what most people think of when they hear security. This pillar is dedicated to protecting data, networks, digital systems from unauthorized access, disruption, destruction. It mandates the use of strong industry-vetted cryptographic standards, for instance. A clear protocol within this domain is the mandatory implementation of AES 256 for all data at rest, TLS 1.3 for all data in transit. Furthermore, it specifies network segmentation architectures, creating air-gapped systems for the most critical control functions. And it requires multi-factor authentication for remote access, for privileged access, making it significantly harder for stolen credentials to be used successfully. Third is personnel and operational security people are often the most critical element in any security system. This domain focuses on the human factor. Its protocols govern the entire life cycle of an employee's access, starting with mandatory in-depth background checks before an individual is hired, before granting access to sensitive information. A specific control example is the principle of least privilege protocols require that access rights are reviewed quarterly to ensure individuals only have the absolute minimum permissions necessary to perform their job functions. This domain also mandates regular, role-specific security awareness training and establishes clear incident response plans that people can follow under pressure. Fourth, supply chain and vendor assurance extends security beyond the organization's own walls. In today's interconnected world, your security is only as strong as your weakest supplier. This domain establishes protocols for vetting and continuously monitoring third-party vendors, partners, suppliers. A practical example is the requirement for a software bill of materials, or SBOM, for all procured software. It allows an organization to track and mitigate vulnerabilities in third-party code. It also includes controls for verifying the integrity of hardware components upon receipt to detect tampering and ensure the authenticity of the supply chain factory deployment. Finally, the fifth domain is governance, audit, and continuous improvement. This pillar provides the oversight and management structure that holds the entire framework together. It ensures that security is not a one-time project, but an ongoing process. A key protocol here is the requirement to maintain a comprehensive risk, register all identified security risks, their potential impact, and the corresponding mitigation plans. This domain also mandates regular independent audits to verify compliance with all ISOSEC controls. It also establishes a formal process for reviewing and updating security measures based on audit findings, incident reports, and the evolving threat landscape. Section 3, Tiers of Trust Matching Certification to Operational Reality. ISOSEC recognizes that a one-size-fits-all approach to security is inefficient and impractical. Different organizations have different levels of interaction with sensitive systems and therefore present different levels of risk. To address this, the framework establishes 3 distinct certification tiers, creating a scalable model that aligns security rigor with role and access level. The first level, Tier 1, aligned, is intended for organizations with limited or indirect contact with core ISOSEC operations. This might include entities that provide non-critical support services or require only low-level access to peripheral systems. Organizations at this tier are not required to implement the full spectrum of controls across all 5 domains. Instead, they must demonstrate alignment with the most essential protocols, primarily focusing on foundational cybersecurity hygiene, basic personnel vetting, core governance policies. This tier ensures that even organizations on the periphery maintain a baseline of security, preventing them from becoming an easy entry point for adversaries without overburdening them with with controls irrelevant to their function. The second level, Tier 2 certified, is the standard for most direct partners and key service providers. These organizations are integral to day-to-day operations of the secure environment. Technology integrators, managed service providers, core contractors. To achieve Tier 2 certification, an organization must implement and maintain the full set of applicable controls across all 5 ISOSEC domains. Compliance is not self-attested. It must be validated through a formal annual audit conducted by an independent accredited auditing body. This rigorous verification process provides a high degree of assurance that the partner is adhering to the required security posture and reliably managing its risks. The highest level, Tier 3 accredited, is reserved for a small number of operators who manage the most critical functions, sensitive functions, high-risk functions within the ecosystem. These are typically the core system owners' entities with privileged access to the central crown jewels. Accreditation at Tier 3 requires adherence to the strictest interpretation of all ISO SEC protocols, plus a set of enhanced controls. These enhancements often include near real-time security monitoring, data reporting to a central oversight authority, proactive threat hunting capabilities, and mandatory participation in collaborative threat intelligence sharing programs. Tier 3 operators are subject to more frequent and intrusive audits, including unannounced spot checks, to ensure a constant state of maximum security readiness. A common and dangerous mistake is to view security as a static goal that can be achieved and then forgotten. ISOSEC is built on the fundamental principle that security is a continuous process, not a final product. The protocols are not a fire and forget solution. They represent a commitment to ongoing vigilance, adaptation, improvement. The threat landscape is not static. New vulnerabilities are discovered, adversaries develop new techniques, and the operational environment itself changes. A security framework that does not evolve is already obsolete. True security requires a perpetual cycle of assessment, mitigation, and verification. To ensure its continued relevance and effectiveness, the ISOSEC framework is a living document. The protocols are formally reviewed and updated by a dedicated governance committee on a semi-annual basis. This regular cadence allows the framework to incorporate lessons learned from real-world security incidents, integrate new technological best practices, and adapt to emerging threats identified by the intelligence community. For organizations operating under its mandate, this means compliance is not a one-time checklist: monitor, assess, improve, implement. It requires a sustained organizational commitment to monitoring these updates and integrating the changes into their operational procedures and technical systems in a timely manner. This dynamic nature requires organizations to build a culture of security, not just a department of security. Every team must understand that maintaining compliance is an active day-to-day responsibility. System administrators must constantly patch systems. Security teams must monitor for new threats. Management must provide the resources for regular audits and improvements. The framework demands that organizations invest in the tools and personnel necessary to continuously monitor their security posture, detect deviations from the baseline, and rapidly remediate any identified weaknesses. Complacency is the enemy of security, and the structure of ISOSEC is designed specifically to combat it. For individuals and organizations tasked with implementing or operating within this framework, gaining access to the full documentation is the critical next step. The public-facing summaries provide the what and the why, detailed implementation guides, control templates. These documents contain the granular step-by-step instructions necessary for successful deployment. If your work intersects with an ISOSEC-governed system, you should formally request access to these materials through your designated compliance officer or security lead. Diligently following these evolving rules does more than prepare you for an audit. It strengthens our collective defense of critical people, places, and data. In short, the ISOSEC protocols are the new international framework for ensuring top security. Because security is an ecosystem, not security regulations, or security guards, or electronic security systems, or software, but all of it unified under the International Code of Conduct, and all of it under one name. This is the ISOSEC protocols.